Is now 12:06, and let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So board members received the minutes from the June 6th meeting and September 26th meeting. Are there any corrections?
No.
All right. Is there a motion to approve those? Let's do one at a time. June 6th. And you should have been present to be able to make that motion. Okay. So
Unless you read it.
Having read them?
Unless you read them.
right, but he wouldn't have known what happened.
Oh, is there any
Yeah, Zoom.
deviation?
Right.
Was he on Zoom? On Zoom?
I don't think so.
No.
No. So you'll make it and I can second it. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, and September 26th. Is there a motion to approve that?
Oh.
Okay, and you were here?
Yes, that was good.
Okay, so you can second. All those in favor? Aye. Very good. All right, I'm going to clear up a couple things here. One thing that we did not finish properly at the last meeting was the gate application at 219 Sag Main Street. There was a gesture to put it up for a motion. No one on the board wanted to second that. But we did not formally deny it, and we do need to take that step. So I just want to clarify that, and so we should vote to deny that application. So there's the motion to deny. A second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. So that clears that one up. 629 Hedges Lane, we have not heard from the owner or the representative for 2 meetings. And on the advice of council, we will make a motion to deny without prejudice. And if they wish to return on that, they will and they may. So that is the motion up, is to deny without prejudice. Is there a second to that?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. One thing that is not on some of your agendas, but it should have been, is 12 Sag Road. We did not get any further information on that. It was suggested that we adjourn that and see if they come back with anything else on that gate. And so that's the motion, is to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And 36 Sag Road, the solar, the applicant did not receive any further information from the company yet, and she did request to be adjourned. So the motion to adjourn is up, and if there's a second, we can vote on that. I'll second it. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. That clears up most of the old business for now. So we will begin with the addition and renovation of the proposed garage at 338 Town Line Road. The applicant is 338 Town Line Road LLC, and Mr. Webb is here. Yes. Or is that you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to come up to the podium so that we can hear you a little bit better, and now that you're up here, would you please repeat your name for the audio recording so that we have that for the minutes?
Michael Bianchi, Phenotype Architects, Eric Clifford.
Okay, thank you. And so if you can just introduce the project, the reason for it, and what allowances you have there on this, and then also if you can describe the environment for us as far as surrounding plantings, etc., because that will play into the light emission for the second floor. And it's kind of an interesting design. There is quite a bit more glazing, right?
Then the old garage, yes.
Yes, okay, so we'll need to analyze that a little bit.
So this is a project designed to expand the original home's footprint by 252 square feet for a sitting room. That is done in an effort to engage the home a little more with the property and landscape.
And this is at the house.
This is at the house.
The house, that's it, okay,
Yep, there's an addition and a garage component.
okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Yep.
That's that portion. The garage is being replaced. It says in the minutes or in the agenda that it's exactly on the old footprint. It's a tiny bit deviated from the old footprint. We felt we're not going to be able to reuse the existing foundations, so that went up in a little while, and it's probably a piece of text that should have been revised.
Okay.
So, but that is the house itself, built in '89. It's a Kirby Grimes house. We are trying to sort of allow the garage to riff a little bit on the style of the existing house. So on the second floor, that's where you see the 4 windows that are in the recess that are in the overhang. So pages 20. Right. 21. Yes, correct. 22 and 23. So we've taken the windows in the overhang on page 22 of the garage that sort of mimic the overhang, 2 windows in the overhang above the entry to the house. The grid of windows on page 23 shown in the second floor of the garage mimic the windows that are clear on the last page of the booklet on the existing house. So we're trying to bookend the structure a bit. These sort of nods to the old house. Like I said, we are within FAR, we're okay in height. We're at 294 feet from the garage to the street. And as far as ratios go, the wall-to-window ratio on the west side of the garage, and that's the garage facing the tennis courts, the side, that is 21%. The side facing north.
Can you refer to these on the?
I don't, do you have the building PDFs present?
Not able
Here,
to,
yeah,
that's what
I'm
our problem
for that.
is.
I can, so page 23 is the best view of the west side of the
We do
garage.
have a group that's titled T101.2.
That's, yep, that's the set right there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So. Okay. So if we go through that, past the survey, we get to like the Z pages,
It would be A101.
A101. Okay.
It would be after probably the area to pass. They do have it on the drive. It doesn't appear to be.
What is the increase in the glazing in the garage?
The garage had
Increase.
glazing outside of the garage. It's a 1-story.
No, I mean that building has a lot of glazing on the second floor.
That building had a second.
The old garage.
The old
No,
garage.
I understand. So I'm asking what the increase is between the old building and the new building.
It would, in theory, be 100% plus.
Okay, so
Yeah, the only, I
That's
think
what
the
I was
only
getting at.
windows on the old garage were on the garage doors.
Okay.
And then, oh,
So if we're looking at A300, that appears to be the garage. Is that correct?
A200, it should be the garage.
Okay. Thank you. And so if you look at this, do you have any glazing?
I have them in my notes. I didn't
Okay.
include them all. Happy to read them out.
Okay, that would be great.
The west elevation, so we'll start at detail 4.
Mhm.
West elevation is 21%. The north elevation is 4.4%. The east elevation is 2.6%. And the south elevation is 17%,
And the garage door itself is,
completely solid.
okay,
Let me give you-
I haven't done that last time. As far as any type of sense of light broadcast from the second story windows, I noticed that the plantings are there. Are the plantings foliage year round, or are they
It's an evergreen privet around the whole property.
evergreen rivets? So is that a hedge that actually drops leaves, or is that?
No,
Okay,
that is, I think if I walk out there now, it's
yeah, that's part of my question, is I haven't, I'm not
it's not
familiar with.
rivet, no, it's not.
It's
rivet.
not
It's
rivet,
not
okay,
rivet.
okay, thank you.
I'm a little new to this. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Came from Philadelphia.
Any thoughts or concerns from the board on the garage?
Everything it's facing is pretty insular.
No.
No.
Pretty tucked away, yeah.
Yeah. Can we just, for discussion's sake, clarify that exposure, if we're looking at page 5, the build out over the doors is facing the parking area, is that correct?
Sure.
That's correct.
Yes, that was,
Okay.
sorry. Page 13 is a fairly good example of
Okay.
the relationship.
Is the area between this home and this new home here, is this a preserve of some sort, or is this a buildable lot?
That is 342 town road. You saw a handful of months ago.
Oh, yeah, these- yeah.
But this is between
That seems,
it's this, is that a
so
preserve?
this is 342,
So this is buildable, is that a buildable lot?
that it is being,
Yeah.
the last, I believe you guys
Gotcha.
saw that.
Oh, gotcha, this is an old thing.
Yeah, so there's a building here.
Yeah.
So in between this construction site and here, there's no, from
Yes,
here
there's something going on there, yeah.
to the other side of, I think it's
It is still shrub.
So we do need to consider
Lower.
what's here. Which is glass situation facing the tennis court. Paper.
Yeah, but this side has almost no glass, it's this side, but this.
I thought it was the side facing the tennis court.
Is it
that
the
was
is the
glass?
side.
It's the side facing the tennis court.
That one has so the side facing the tennis court has
Has
the
the-
grid of windows.
It's the height of those windows again, is
Whole structure is under the 20 feet requirement, so those are probably 17 feet off the highest one.
And give a perspective of the height of the evergreen hedge.
It's fairly accurate to the renderings on 20 and, but I believe it's a rendering, it's not an absolute. I can recognize that.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's supposed to be an office.
Yes.
But presumably it won't be that used at night.
I hope my clients.
I mean, it's a lot of glass, but it doesn't seem outrageous to me.
Are these windows in the garage mirroring windows that are in the main part of the house? I mean, are they the same windows that are in some part of the main house?
They're the same proportion as the ones, they're smaller, but they're the same proportion as the ones on the last page of the AHRB package. So on this.
And there's a wall like this, yeah. That's a wall, yes.
So in the addition, we purposely oriented the addition glass in towards the property on the first floor.
But that's what it's trying to do.
Yeah, that's already there, yeah. And this.
So is the garage a separate? It's not a separate application. You're applying for the work to be done on the alterations to the house as well. Can you begin to just get into that for us?
Yeah. It's probably best to look at page 23 for the addition. So the addition aims to open up the house to the site a little bit. It's the longest sort of view across the site, across the face of the tennis courts due north. So we have a good bit of distance from the house to the northern lot line. Obviously, the edge we're shielded from the street by the garage. We did leave the wall facing the driveway solid, so we're not blowing out any public portion of the driveway if people arrive. Flat roof structure it exists sort of past the privet that surrounds the tennis court. So it does have an overhang, so it's slightly different language than the house. It is the roof overhang and the changing glazing.
I don't know what I did.
Right, so we're gonna page
Addition.
23.
So tell me what page.
23.
23 pages of the So I was lucky enough to find the winter views on Google Earth or Google Street Views, if you can see. The only thing truly visible is the chimney and the bridge of the house. So-
If you can keep your voice up for the sake of the recording.
Okay. Of course.
No, that's okay, you can shout.
The one thing we really haven't worked out is the exterior lighting. We're not planning on doing down lights in this soffit, and we know the regulations.
Or up.
No, part of the reason the overhang we felt was appropriate with more glass, giving lights going on so much, so we gave it a nice depot.
And what are the ceiling heights in the new sitting room?
90.
90?
It's in the lowest.
Mid-century chairs, you know.
It's true.
So I'm looking at Z 103.2 now. The upper right of that page, that's existing. Is that how I read that, or is that, yeah, that one?
So the upper
The
right,
upper right, yeah.
that's a section that John was going to add, so that you'd understand that house is on white space, and then I could confirm to him that it is the FAR copy.
Okay. But that's not what it's looking like. Is that?
That's a shot from the inside looking at the chimney.
Oh, I see.
So that's all existing. That was
Okay.
merely a documentation.
Okay. Any other questions?
and it's very secluded, so the classes.
Relatively. Relatively.
Well, compared to some,
Yeah. Um, We have the figures on that. We don't have a light study. Is that something that the board feels that they would like to have?
Night emissions.
you have those figures, but there's no rendering of the light emission.
Sort of nighttime rendering.
Right.
So,
Do you want those or just
For
for the
completeness,
sake
yeah,
that? Okay, all right.
don't you think?
I think that's fine. We always ask for that.
We've gotten to the point where we ask for
Require.
it so that we don't get questioned on what we've examined and say you didn't do it. It's just, at this point, we request it so often that it's become a step so that we assure ourselves that we've accurately studied the situation.
Well, maybe the figures are good enough other than a rendering or not.
I think that we could approve it on the grounds that we get that paperwork in.
Okay.
Is that agreeable, John? Is that all right?
Committee of two.
Yeah, that should be. All right. So,
In the, do we consider the, I guess, or whatever the non-privet barrier foliage, is that something that is considered constant or?
it sounds like it is.
Yeah.
But the
I feel like
other,
there's a mutually beneficial to keep the extra layer of hedges to hide the tennis court from your clients.
yeah, that's not going away.
There's a positive side effect of hiding from everyone else too.
Let's put another layer between us.
Mhm. All right. Did you want to pick any other?
No, I think it's-
So I think the motion would be to approve this as submitted with the understanding that certain provisions have been granted on a site-specific analysis with the plantings. And if you would be willing to do that extra step of the light emission, that would suffice, I think. Is that workable and agreeable? Okay. So that would be the way the motion would be worded. And is there a second for that motion?
I'll second it, but I would have to repeat the provision.
Okay, so it would go to the committee of two to review that paperwork. And I think that we should all say aye on that.
Who made the first question?
I made the motion and yeah.
Just make it sure.
And so is there, let's do a formal vote on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None, and it passes on four. Particular point for those of you who are before us today, we are operating with just a four-member board, four-member panel today due to recent illness of
Committee two will sign this?
yeah. That's fine.
Just making sure.
Next before us is 427 Bridge Lane, Jamie Lopez and Marilyn Clark. Yeah, I have some notes on it. That'll be the final copy of did you have someone presenting for you? Or? Okay. Yeah, she's got a few things set up. That's an interesting perspective. Did you make the camera? Pat, did you move the camera? Because the camera is now showing down the room across the room. It's not showing it. There we go. There we are. All right, great. Thank you. Okay, I think we're settled. Okay, you don't have to show all the gray hairs. Thank you. I can back off a little bit there. Okay, so if you would.
Okay, my name is Juan Ramos.
Okay.
Nacho Ramos for most of the people that know me. This is the addition of a studio garage to the existing property. You can see the shape of a barn. It's 22 by 46 feet long. Basically respects all the limitations of the property. Has a 20-foot setback from the road and 10-foot setback from the side. And I can show the elevations and sections. If you can go to the next, well, that's a, we can, if you want to go to the floor plan, it's fine.
Is this where we?
No, look, if you go a little bit further to the beginning. Those are the renderings. If you can go back to the, oh, that's the floor plan. The floor plan is that rectangle. It has in the back a small storage mezzanine with stairs and a little half bath, and the rest is an open space. Is part of it garage and part of it a studio. For Jaime, who's a photographer, so that's going to be his place to work. And from the outside, this structure mimics the same materials as the original house. It would have cedar siding and the same shingles on the roof that are dark gray, almost black asphalt shingles. It's a very simple structure. I don't have much more to say about it. It's a pitched roof. I'm happy to answer all the questions.
It's the nicest looking garage I've ever seen. Doesn't look like a garage. Is there actually place for a car in there?
Yeah, Jaime has some beautiful antique motorcycles and an antique car, and so it's gonna be a little bit like this private museum of this.
Not actually for cars.
It is for cars, and it has a garage door. You know, if you go to the images, I can explain the renderings.
This is the garage door.
That's the view from Rich Lane. This is the view from their property. Those windows face their garden in front of the property. This This is the view from the road.
How does, so the car will get there by going along these grass pavers?
Exactly, the idea is not to destroy the gardens, just to, but yeah, because it's not a garage for every day. So we
For
wanted to
antique
make it like,
motorcycles, I know.
you know, less noticeable as possible. We don't want to build a proper driveway and cut the garden in two.
If you go further along with the illustrations for a moment, Pat, there's just a couple clarifying questions that I have.
Tom, you going where?
Further along with the photograph.
This is the back of the garage, this is facing the
The
rear.
back of the yard, yeah.
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 back of the-
So this is, it's a little bit confused. There's a stone patio in front of the garage. is
No,
that
it's
correct?
pebbles,
Just pebbles,
loose pebbles,
okay.
yeah.
And then there's a step up. Is that what I'm seeing? with the
Yeah,
foundation?
there's a, yeah, like 6-inch step up.
Okay. And then there's no basement. There's nothing.
There's
Okay.
nothing, it's
Okay.
just what you see, an empty space.
Right, so one thing in one of the draftings suggested, if we go on to another picture, Pat, for a second. Further along. One more maybe? No,
That's the last picture.
okay. In this set I have, and also this one, it looks like there is a pavement out
Yeah,
here.
that is gonna be like grass with those pavers, but it's not a proper, it's not gonna be a proper driveway.
Okay, one of the site map plans also suggested that this was going out onto Bridge Lane, so I want to make
It's
sure
not,
that
it's
is not a
not
second.
going to
curb
Bridge
cut.
Lane.
Here it shows it going across.
No, I know, but if you look on the Google Drive, there's a misleading representation on that.
There's gonna be only one entrance to the property, and it's the existing one, and that is, if it's done, there's a mistake, because it's not gonna have any other driveway.
Okay,
Tom, looking at the
Yeah.
survey, this is,
yeah, it was something on the Google Drive where it suggested that there was like a pathway out to the street. It might have been on a different.
Yeah, yes,
Anyway, there
at
is-
certain point, there was a part of that, pebble, driveway had, not driveway, but surface,
Mhm.
had that little thing, but that is gone, it's not gonna exist.
Okay,
Just the connection between that space and the actual,
and
the
so
existing.
the leg that we just passed in that illustration.
Tom, give me direction.
Just go back 2 pictures from what you just had. There was a leg that came out
Yeah,
on the,
Talking about in this?
no,
no,
good.
no,
No, these,
You understand
these
what I'm
images
saying,
are,
yeah,
have
okay.
been, updated and corrected, and they
Okay.
don't have that anymore. I know exactly what you're
For
talking
example,
about.
with this one,
Yeah. and
this
it was a-
shows that this goes all the way
Yeah.
out to the street, which is misleading and confusing for us.
Yes, absolutely, that's why it was corrected, yeah.
No second.
Okay. John, just to check, 10 feet setback is accurate?
With this particular subdivision, this goes all the way back to district zones, and it has a 10-foot accessory structure setback. And
Okay.
it does not define from which yard, so it's from any yard that you wish, front, side, rear.
Okay.
The house directly next door built the garage,
Right.
using the same.
Yes, yeah,
Regulation.
I remember that. Okay. Thank you. So the next consideration in my mind is light emission for these doors are 7 feet tall, is that right?
They are 84 inches high, yeah.
So that, the use at night of the studio or the potential reuse of this, if you sell it and all of a sudden somebody says, well, I'm gonna put the pool out in front of the studio. And now I've got this great huge pool house, I'll change my use of it. So that's a little bit of a concern for me that there's no consideration of light minimalizing, and essentially this would broadcast across the whole front yard of the house and out into Bridge Lane. So I'm just wondering what provisions or what thoughts you have on that concern.
Well,
If it's a photographic studio, you're gonna have lighting in the studio, right?
yes,
Okay. And is that kind of focused out how you're thinking about doing that? Or does that all happen in the back, or does that, and the cars in the front, or your illustration shows that the car is away from the street?
right. The only moment where I will need those windows to produce a light that I can use would be during the morning.
Mhm.
The rest of the time, the light will be intrusive to my own lighting, so I will have curtains that will blacken out the inside of the studio so I can do my own lighting. Which they'll be closed most of the time, unless we want to enjoy the view when we're not working,
Right, yeah.
doing photography. It's not only taking the pictures, but it's also having it as an office to choose whatever work I've been doing, or lay out pictures on the floor and at different sizes, you know. So that kind of lighting is what we look for as artists.
Mhm.
Natural lighting.
Right.
And specifically the north light, you
Yeah.
know, which is, I hear
Facing the
what you're
field.
saying.
Right.
about
My
being
concern
concerned
is
about
that if I give approval to this, even though it might be site specific,
Yeah.
it's gonna set a precedent that,
Yes.
oh, you did it over here, and so why can't you do it somewhere
Understood.
else? So it's one of those things that I'm grappling with in this particular setting.
The proportion of glass of that elevation is really small, because the glass is literally 2 times this, is 2 windows that are 8 by 7. That's the only glass that we have on that side.
These are the Bridge Lane facing ones, these two here.
No.
No, this is only one. This is
That's one
like
set,
one,
and
like
then there are
that.
two sets.
On face,
that face
Yeah.
the-
face there,
the house,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Or face
Yes,
Sag Main
yes.
Street, if you will. if you
Yeah, yeah.
step back. So,
So can I ask you,
yes.
so when you're actually using your photography lights, you have black shades?
Yes, I mean, depends if the natural light is beautiful, I will use that.
Of course, but
light.
if you need to use your
My own lighting. I have
photography
to
lighting,
work
then
out,
you
yes.
have shades so as to make it pure.
Yes,
I mean, even if he uses the natural light, that moves so quickly. It's like he'd have to be done with his work in 20 minutes, or the light changes every 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if he wants to control it more, it's not his my guess. But this is a tough one. Because
Yeah.
I mean,
on
those-
one hand, you
understand.
want the view and the light for your work.
right,
And it's, you have this amazing setting in which to do that. And
yes.
In this particular illustration, what is the function of the dark panels to the
That's the
left?
garage door.
That is actually a garage door, and that is solid, is that correct?
And not a what?
It is solid, it's not.
Yes, yes,
it's
yes,
not
yes.
glass
It's
or
not
anything
glass,
like
it's
that.
not glass. Yeah, exactly.
But that is still part of the large room, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Did you do any glass analysis as far as glazing on each side of the structure? Like we just heard with the other applicant where the side facing the street is 20% glazing and,
No, no.
okay. That might be helpful for us. That's something that isn't unusual for us to request,
Okay,
all right? And then this is facing your backyard, is that correct?
exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
This is,
Are there any other concerns folks have?
But I understand your concern, but I like the.
Mm.
I think it's very simple,
Mhm.
attractive.
Is there any way there's some landscaping that can help protect it a
Yeah,
little
that's
bit?
what I was about to say.
That
It would
won't
be
block the
nice.
light, but that would maybe protect it from like across the field
right,
at night or something.
yes.
I mean, it'll be
Grass,
mutually
not that it's
beneficial
it's not even
because
high, even grasses might do it.
Mhm.
I
Well,
just
the
think
field
right now,
across-
there's nothing except for the trees that don't start until here.
I feel like people coming from,
Field across the street is hay.
But there's people, and there's people driving. and there's
People driving, for
I
sure.
mean, you just
Right,
see it, you
yeah.
see the glow
Yeah.
boxes now
Yeah,
across the field, way across. So I'm
Right.
just wondering if there isn't any sort of landscaping that wouldn't get in the way of your getting the light when you want it,
Yeah.
but that would at nighttime, maybe kind of the lights were on and you were in there doing some work, wouldn't be cumbersome to you and what your needs are.
I think it'll be mutually beneficial because as the cars come from Sag Main Street towards the bridge,
Right,
you're gonna know every car is passing you on those
Yeah.
east facing or south, east face, south facing.
east, east, northeast, yeah.
Um, I mean, as a design element, the north sort of dogleg part is very attractive, but it is the one thing that takes away from the historic nature of it. I understand there's always the balance between those two, but that is 20 feet from pretty well-traveled road. And the roof pitch is pretty much the same as the main structure?
A little bit, yeah, pretty much, yeah. This is a little bit more pronounced. This is 45 degrees. Yeah, it's pretty much the same.
okay. What I'm gonna suggest is maybe the committee could go out and just give this the once over. If you could place some sticks to mark out the proper location of where this would be in the yard, that will help give us a perspective of what we're addressing. And then also if you can give us some percentages of what's facing the street, what's facing your house and the,
Absolutely, yeah.
but if you could delineate out the position, that will illuminate to us a little bit of the illumination concern and how broad it is to the public eye and so forth as well. Because obviously you don't need everybody looking in on you either, so.
That's right.
But it's 20 feet from the road and that's kind of difficult to
Yeah.
prevent unless you're gonna
Yes.
put some thought into it. I don't think that would be a bad idea in this particular case. Yeah. Does that seem reasonable? Okay. So also something that essentially you would take these things and just add the sense of interior lighting to them.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
that we get a dusk or a nighttime sense of how much is
Absolutely.
coming out.
If you were
Yeah.
driving by or if you lived across the field from that perspective.
yeah.
So nighttime rendering.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Anything else that you would like to see on this?
It would be interesting to implement in general, in all the houses, and I'm a modern architect, so for me, the light is, a big struggle. Some kind of device that automatically at night would, shut down the house. So during the day, you would have the views but at night you avoid the problem of of the lights, you know?
Yeah, it's basically an electric timer that pulls your curtains closed at a certain point in time.
Or shutters or wood shutters or something that would work at night at a certain time would close and ensure the neighbors that they wouldn't have this
There you go,
light
John.
hazard, you know?
There you go, John.
Uh, Everything breaks.
Yeah.
Call the BB gun.
That's another.
Do you work at night a lot?
No. I'm basically a retired photographer, and what I do here is my own private work, and by 4 I'm done. I'm not in the rush.
No, we were joking
New York
about how
City.
early you go to bed.
But you can understand our
Oh,
concern.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No,
For the
I do.
public.
I also, for wildlife and everything, I agree with the light pollution. I hate it. So
Yeah.
we do understand.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn this, and we'll see what further we can gain from those additional resources. So I'll put it up for an adjournment. Is there a second?
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The new stop sign is right back here.
Yes.
What's that?
Their
New stop
new
signs.
studios will be so close to that stop sign,
Yeah.
and stop signs seem to be followed by speed bumps once in a while, so like
I
sympathy.
raced through that stop sign at least twice
Right.
because it hasn't been there very
I
long.
know.
Yeah.
Me too.
The first time they put it up, it lasted exactly 8 hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't me, I'm not strong enough.
Okay,
Just give me this. These are all these speed bumps a result of that thing being.
no, it's, the mayor put it out as a public hearing on it. And there was a public hearing for the speed issues, and it was during the horse trade. And it's just a case where nobody wants to slow down. And
Yeah.
everybody's using Sagaponic as a racetrack to bypass Bridgehampton,
Bypass, yeah.
slow down on the highway.
We should, if we're gonna do it there, think of a couple more places.
Yeah,
Maybe
me
they're
too.
not done yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, they aren't done.
even with those, I've seen insane thing, I mean,
Yeah.
one Porsche passing a 4-door Porsche right in front of us.
Yes. No, absolutely.
I like jumped in my van and got started, it was miles away.
Well, I was thinking there should be one closer to the store because that crosswalk is,
It's very
in summer
dangerous,
is
yeah.
like taking your life in your hands.
Yeah,
Farm stand.
you can almost tell who's gonna stop by the cost of their car, you know?
Yeah, it's very difficult, and on town line, there's a balance to work with East Hampton Town, because if you try and reduce the speed on town line or just the Sagaponic side of the street, if you can't balance it without
Okay.
cooperation from East Hampton
Oh, yeah.
Town, yeah. It makes it very difficult.
They take their frustration down the other side of the bridge, but making up for that half a mile, they had to go to look at speed limit.
Yes, they do. Okay. Okay, Pat, right?
Yes, Patrick Collins, on behalf of Keen Designs Limited. In front of you today is an application for 53 Hedges Lane from Pelmar Sagaponic Holdings LLC. This is a 3-faceted application. We have an existing home that is near the street on 53 Hedges. We plan to renovate that structure after removing a wing off the back of it and taking it from a 1.5-story building and reducing that to a 1-story structure. This is from the interior only, so we're essentially removing the ceiling. And this is going to be used as the homeowner's personal gym. So we plan to maintain the 3 facades facing the street, keeping them exactly as they are. We'll be re-siding the building, we'll be replacing the windows, and refinishing the trim to essentially, or finishing the trim in white duck. So essentially match what's there now. We do have existing photos in the application if you want to pull those up. And we will be also providing a privacy film, a tinted privacy film on all of the windows facing the street, so that there's no concern of anybody driving by and sort of looking in and seeing what is essentially a historic home with a gym through the front windows. So paired with also window treatments on the interior, there should be no views through the front of the building to see any gym equipment. Also preserving the historic appearance of the home. The second facet of the application is to relocate and renovate the existing two-car detached garage that's currently on site. That's currently in the northeast corner of the lot. And the third facet of the project is to construct a new two-story guest house, or this will actually be the principal dwelling on the lot. That is a barn-like structure. This is our second time here in front of the board. In fact, the first time we came with this application as a discussion item. The board has some comments regarding the architecture of the structure. So we've since revisited that design. We've changed the color of the trim. We've also modified the detailing of the structure. If you recall the first application, we had a lot of applied post and beam details, which were all painted in white. We've since eliminated a lot of that. We are now proposing to side the building in 24-inch royals, which is a little more contextually appropriate, I think, for the area and for the design of the building. The covered porches on the building have been modified so that we have a very simple design there. The posts have been increased in scale. The rafter tails are just left exposed. We've removed the cupola on the building and replaced it with a brick chimney. Some window trims have been modified and changed in detail to be a bit more simple and perhaps consistent with what a barn built in Sagaponic, say at the turn of the century, might look like. And the shutter details have also been modified to, again, be more consistent with what you might have seen on a structure of this style back in the day. All buildings proposed here are as of right, no variances are required for the project. One thing to take note, the existing building is obviously within the front yard setback, but it's been there for 100 plus years. I believe that's existing non-conforming.
A little bit more than that.
Yeah.
A little bit more
Well
than just
over.
100 years, 200 and something.
So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I can also present to you the glazing figures. We don't have an actual study in the application here or a drawing, but I do have the figures in front of me here. The facades facing the street for the existing structure, that will remain unchanged at 7.3%. And for the proposed guest cottage or principal dwelling, I should say here, that's 8.9%. The facades facing the street. On average, the existing dwelling or the existing gym structure is 11.5%, and the guest cottage proposed is 9.69%.
Not the last figure, but the next to the last figure, if you mentioned about the existing was.
The existing structure facing the street is 7.3%.
Right, and then the next one after that.
The next one after that is the proposed dwelling, that
Right,
is 8.9%.
And then there was another one after that.
And the average figures, it was 11.5 for the existing gym structure and 9.69 for the proposed dwelling. I would like to note too that in our application here, we do call out the trim the trim on the proposed dwelling as natural cedar. We would propose to paint that actually in a darker gray. It's intellectual gray. It's the same color being used on residents at 24 Fairfield Pond.
Are there any perspectives of drawings from the front viewing from Hedges, front of the house, with the new house behind it?
I believe in that application for the gym, there's a rendering.
Like from the street to be able to see the newest,
Right.
largest building?
Right. Keep going.
Maybe page CS
CS
1.3.
Yeah, correct, that rendering, yes.
Hard to see it on the side, but- Oh, I see.
So the rendering on the screen now.
Yeah.
As viewed from the street.
With consideration to the trim color, the actual style of the new residence hasn't really changed that much. And having done some studies on mid-19th century barns, I really don't find that many that appear in this style, New England barns. It looks a little too equestrian. And the raptor tails were a detail that just kind of sets it off. It argues, I think, a little bit with the historic structure. And we think about the historic structure, but we also need to realize that that's at the National Register. This is probably the gem for the village, to be honest. One thing I'm gonna ask is that the board go visit that and take a look at it. Mr. Johnson was a meticulous collector of all kinds of stuff. And although some of the furniture might have been moved out, I think the experience for the board should take a look at that and completely identify the historic character that will lend some wisdom and understanding to a lot of what we're charged with, especially if we're talking about dismembering the gem. So that is going to be one of my requests on it, is to have the board go visit it.
That'd be great. I would like that.
But looking at CS 1.3, the vocabulary and especially how those raptor tails aren't as silent. They draw your eye to it. And the second story windows just, I didn't find any barns that had a lot of that. I understand you're trying to build a house, but if the detailing to it is so, I don't want to say argumentative, but in contrast to what the historic structure is, and we had this discussion in the discussion forum too. Getting rid of the white trim is a big help, but I think that it's personally, I feel that it's still pretty massive and might be a distraction from where the board would like the attention at. And I'm not sure that there's an easy way to do that. It might be making the cottage longer and thinner. What are the dimensions of the cottage?
Well, that does require variance then, because we would be now adding to a building that's outside of the setback as well. So we're trying to avoid that as well and keep everything as of right here if possible. We're trying to, diminish the violation rather than increase that. So I really went for designing and building a new structure within the setback of the lot and essentially leave alone the existing building. Also, because the ceiling heights there are very restrictive.
Yeah,
on the
no, I
second
understand
floor.
that. But the new structure, the cottage, what are the physical dimensions of that? Including the porches on the side, just the
Right.
sheer mass structure.
We're total of approximately 58 feet in length and 42 feet in width.
And that includes porches.
The porches would be an additional 5'7" on each side of the structure. So we're approximately, yes, we're 58 feet in length overall, and therefore we would be
Like somebody would be
53
like
feet
in a-
width,
in a
including the
rocking
porches.
chair, sitting.
And that's, each porch is 5 feet?
Each one is 5'6".
So that's 10.
Correct.
Okay, so it was 48, so now we're talking 58 by 58,
42.
basically.
42 to 53, so it's 5 foot and change.
Okay.
Probably 11 feet additional. So is it the massing seems to be most offensive to you, as it's more of a declaratory.
I think given the but given the location as well,
Okay.
you have this sort of somewhat diminutive neoclassical house. And then just so close, you have a barn, which does look like a work structure. But as was mentioned before, not really in direct sort of dialogue with this one.
Right, understood.
It looks a little bit like something out of Yellowstone, rather than something that's agaponic, I think is what strikes me.
Right. So I think it's the declaratory that really detracts from what you're hoping to see in the place of this pond.
You were gonna say something? No? Okay.
One approach we took with this project is to not try to have it match or be consistent with the language and therefore take away from the significance of the existing structure. So we kind of took the approach of going entirely different and, let it be like a work structure.
Appreciate that.
It's sort of hard when they're holding hands practically,
Yeah,
I mean, only really from the perspective, because it is such a diminutive historical structure, and the other one is proportionally larger setback, so it
Right.
just,
right.
And the trim plans, is it intended for the historical one to stay white with the trim
Correct.
and the other one to stay neutral?
Correct.
Sorry to ask
And
this,
again,
but
it
the
does-
red doors are red historically, or you've done that too?
That's how they are.
They are
as
red
well.
now,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so-
They were red or pink, actually.
They were, used to be redder.
Yes,
What you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah. It's faded over
Redder.
time, but
Yeah, they're a bit bold, but that's the way it is.
Well, I would love to step foot in there and feel it in person. And I think a little bit, the overhang does sort of beckon a rocking chair situation, which I'm not sure if it's the main house, but I don't dislike the structure. I think I agree that it doesn't quite match. But then again, I appreciate that it's not a modern glass house, right? Because that would be worse. So, in my opinion.
I really do hate this door. This one.
The good news is it's actually drawn incorrectly in rendering.
Drawn incorrectly.
Oh,
You may hate what's proposed more, though. It is a single
Well,
pocketing glass door.
I mean, the
So
other,
it looked like it.
and the other doors all have shutters and so forth, and this one is just like,
Actually, if you flip to sheet A 2.1, you'll see the elevation is drawn as intended. So it does have shutters and it is
oh,
showing.
I see, oh, well, that's quite different, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this
And
is
better, I would say better.
Better, yes. It didn't work at all for me, that was drawn. Okay, so
I think I'd like to go ahead, move forward with the site visit, but I also think that I would like to see a light study on it. like we usually have on something. It's new,
Right.
we have to get a sense of what it is. Is there any way to, I'm looking at A 2.0 right now. Is there any way to like, it just seems like it's so broad.
And the others so narrow, but
Yeah,
They're legally allowed to do that. They
I
have
was gonna say, it is as of right, I mean, to satisfy.
no, I understand that, but I'm just saying the vocabulary of the sheer mass of it is
it would almost, I was just thinking, the other house is so long this way that if the other side of this were facing the road, and it would at least mirror the length and not,
well, it's basically a square once you have the
yeah,
wedges.
I guess so. Yeah.
But I would be in full support of a variance to allow this to not argue and not be so massive. And we've done this before. We simply write a letter of support for a motion for a variance on something, especially when it's this setting and it's, you know, like I say, the old house it's the gem in the village. you
What
know?
would the variance do again?
It would allow them to
Change the
stretch it out
setbacks.
to change the setbacks so that he doesn't have to be so far back. And he can narrow the house up, make it longer. And not have this argument in just sheer visual mass.
Well, to accomplish what the owner is looking to accomplish, we would, I mean, we really be taking the mass of this building and adding it to the existing dwelling now. And I think that's a significant alteration to something that's, you know, if you will, the gem of the village. I think it's better to let this be a separate structure.
I'm not saying not to have it a separate structure. I'm simply saying thin it out and let you place it a little bit closer to the street, or you have a driveway going behind it. Is that basically the situation?
Why would you want it closer to the street?
To allow you to, because he's trying to build a certain size. And if you can lengthen it out, maybe go 60 feet or 65, 70 feet long and not quite so broad, it doesn't have the visual impact that it does right now.
I don't know if I want it any closer to it, though. But I do agree with what you're saying.
Where's the?
And we could,
page with this?
Could you widen the dominant roof line a little bit, and then you would make it asymmetrical? I feel can be effective sometimes if it seems like it started with the sort of more basic shaker style barn or something,
right,
and then a wing was almost added on one side as a utilitarian base court.
right,
The idea of this being built all at once
yeah.
does sort of belie the historical nature that you're trying to throw in there. In this context, I
Yeah,
mean, as a full standalone structure, it's totally effective and nice.
right. I understand that. You know, one of the challenges, and it's what led to sort of this clerestory design, is getting glazing into the rooms on the second floor as well.
Yeah.
Without sort of having this completely asymmetric structure, you know, being more towards a salt box design. That could work, that could get us that second story of light, you know, only have the second story, we have the width of the first.
Yeah.
So that's an option to explore.
This is the part I want to see. Why does the porch go off the back towards the trees there? It's a wall of privet, yeah? Or
So.
why does the porch, where I'm envisioning a rocking chair, face just that?
I think that both sides, you'll have guest rooms on either side.
Correct.
That's right out there.
Yeah, it is symmetrical. They're on both sides. One thing we can do is actually take the porches, if you look at the site plan, for example, SP 10, the porches are nearest the street. We could flip the structure so that the porches are nearest the rear of the property. That will visually reduce the width as you see in this rendering at the front of the building. Not dramatically since they're open porches, but I think it will help.
So the porch faces the street.
It will face the rear of the property, correct? Currently, it's nearest the street, porches.
It's-
This way.
No, not for the whole thing, just move the porches
just move
away
the
from
porch
the
away?
street to the back.
Right, slide them down the building to the other end.
So it would be like this. I'm gonna pick these up and move them away from the street. Just the porches.
Perhaps landscaping could be a solution.
We
Reducing
would,
the
we would,
mass of the
yes, we
system,
can
right?
see that plan as well, yes, yeah.
You know, I think the better solution here would be to add larger plantings perhaps to screen the building from the street view and to separate it more from the existing structure.
Do you
That
like
to
it?
explore, yeah.
Do you like it this way? Or is this sort of like, you're hearing from us, you're hearing from the owner, you have your own opinions, and it's sort of now become this like thing that is no longer what you really did.
So that's almost every project.
I know, I agree. But I kind of want to just hear from you how you feel about it.
Right, I'm very satisfied with it. I think, you know, there's some detailing that I would like to enhance and take to another level, but other than that, you know, I think with the right landscaping, once the siding weathers, the roof weathers, the trim is dark, you know, in theory, it will start to, I don't want this to be a structure that's in anyone's face either. And I don't think anyone wants to see that here. So I think, I completely agree, anything we can do to diminish the appearance and not have to take away from the existing historic building, I'm entirely on board with that. I think when it's constructed, I'd be very satisfied with the appearance of the
This
passive.
is 6 bedrooms, right? There's one in the
4.
basement. Oh, 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm confused. Okay.
I believe there's
Oh,
3
one-
downstairs and 1 up.
Okay. Well, there's bedroom 5 on 1.2, so.
Theoretically, in the future, way down the road, these two properties could eventually be split back into one, right? Like one could be sold off and act as a normal home for somebody.
They do remain as separate hospitals.
Yeah, okay.
Right,
They just connect with the driveway.
correct.
And the garage is 1 car,
2 cars.
2 car.
Okay, well,
I still see the other
approach
side.
some of these ideas, if you will. And we will, do we have somebody to contact about the site visit?
Yes.
Okay, if we can figure that out, and let's try and do it within the next 2 to 3 weeks or something.
I'm here for the next couple of days, actually. I'm here till Wednesday afternoon
Okay. Do you think you need some time before you
or the weekend.
propose that, or?
If you coordinate with David, perhaps, you know, we can certainly work, we could be available anytime.
Okay.
Someone can.
Okay.
Okay. Are you asking for any design change? I feel like we left it.
To the old house? No.
No,
No, to the
to the
new house,
house is
I'm
still the
still
old
trying
house, no matter how you
to
look at
work on that.
we haven't asked for anything specific for him to do.
Well, if you can come up with one rendering from street with the porches to the back, might be helpful.
Yeah.
For that interpretation,
And
and
then
then,
with the variance, the possible variance that you,
right, maybe some sort of an idea of just narrowing up the footprint from the street and extending an idea of the length to maintain what you're trying to accomplish.
But does it need to be a big fancy drawing?
No, I don't think so.
We don't want you to design a whole other house. I feel like that's not the right.
Well, that's my
thing to do,
feeling.
but-
I don't want to go down that path otherwise, a complete redesign. I
Yeah.
think I'd like to, we've got a lot of time to work into this already, you know, everyone.
Yeah, I will say you came very far from last time. It's great changes, I feel like,
Thanks.
since the last.
The objective is to diminish the visual massing element. So I'd rather not actually reduce the massing, but if we can create the illusion of something with less mass or bulk, you know, that's something I think we'll go and spend some time on, and see what we come up with.
All right,
Okay.
yep, and do
Thank
you
you.
want to try and do a light study for the next discussion, or do you want to first come up with a couple ideas? Because that's going to take time and effort too.
I'd like to, you know, I guess we'll come back the following month, right, and we'll have all of those documents prepared, like study as well.
Okay, all right.
Perhaps when we have the walkthrough, if we have something prepared at that moment in time, you know, maybe that's a good opportunity for us to present some revisions to the design, or should it all be here on record?
Maybe making that presentation for 4 different people when they come different times.
Yeah, we
Just
can't
to
all
get
come
scheduled
together.
Yeah, we
Right.
can't come together either, yeah, two at a time.
Okay.
So I would venture to say, because of the unrecordability of that discussion that we would have with each of the groups, probably the presentation should be here.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Access to the house today?
I believe so.
I'm
Would
sorry,
you guys want to go today, 2 at a time?
I'm not sure that I can do that today.
I can do that.
Like right after the meeting this week?
I can do that. I can do that.
Okay, not you?
I don't think that's workable for me. What is your sense?
I could do right after,
Right after?
or in around a week and a half, unfortunately. So,
Well, do you guys want to go
Yeah.
together
Yeah, we're
today?
gonna
And
go
then
today.
Emily and I could go at another time, is that all right?
Yeah.
But again, if we can get Nick to get in on it too, that would be good, because he is the architect for the board.
Right.
At that point, okay, so let's adjourn it. How?
I don't feel as though we've been very clear about what we're asking for.
Okay,
I think hoping that the landscaping that you show us will be enough for it.
Right.
With, I guess, a second round to be to explore narrowing it and maybe digging into a variance. With bonus points for any asymmetry you can add to it, but I understand if you don't want to go right there and
Right.
get that deep into it.
is that clear? Sorry? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn until next month, and with the concept that you're doing a site visit today for Megan and Anthony?
Sure, I'll make it.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Last bit of detail is a committee of two for that road. Also, I wanted to just check and see what the heck's going on with our schedule for December.
I was gonna
Just wanna
mention
think
that,
about that,
because it would be the 26th, which is
the
the
day after
between
Christmas,
Christmas and
yeah.
New Year.
Any thoughts on what you want to do for the holidays? Do you want to take the month off?
I mean, I'm here anyway.
You are,
Christmas and-
okay.
Doesn't matter. I can actually do whatever you guys want.
Do you want to let me know if there are dates that we could move it to?
It could be the 3rd.
Of January?
February.
Oh, okay. The 3rd is a Tuesday.
Lisa was talking, but I think she's gone now.
I'm sorry?
Nothing.
So Tom,
Yes.
Yeah.
this is Lisa. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry. Any idea that you guys want to go maybe the week earlier on a Monday? In December rather than after the holiday?
Yeah, that would be the 19th.
We'll die for our phones.
I can't, I mean, I can't.
Is it giving people the opportunity, though, to enough time to prepare?
Right, yeah.
Well, the only thing I was thinking about is I'm not sure how much preparing goes on from Christmas to New Year's.
Right. The other thing is that's the first day of Hanukkah, if that's important to anybody. It's the 19th.
No, and my kids don't have school, so I'll probably be out here by then.
Okay.
I'm here.
You want to aim for the 19th? What else is on the 19th? Is there a board meeting?
No.
No, we're on Wednesday now due to the lawyers, so we're not conflicting on Monday anymore with you guys.
Okay. Christopher, are you still on with us?
I'm here. Yeah, I have no issue. I can always make myself available for any days you guys need
Okay.
during that week.
Let's aim for that and we'll check with the other board members.
19th.
The 19th. Okay. Very good.
Committee of two.
John, are you working on
Sure
that? Committee of
If
two.
you keep messing up, you'll be working.
At present, the only thing that the committee of two would look at is the finished light analysis for the whichever one that was.
Oh, so that seems, so that could be done remote, really, so.
Maybe for 338 town line. Is there anybody who's interested in offering that?
Well, I'm here, I think.
You're here. Okay.
I'm not interested, but I'm here.
Wow. Nothing like being honest.
Well, no, I
Will you
can
put
do
up with me? All right. So Emily A. and myself.
We're talking
And
about December now. We're finished with December, is that right?
we're aiming for December 19th.
Right.
Correct. And
November
now we're talking
21st is
about
normal.
November 21st would be normal, I think.
26th would be the normal day. December 26th.
Yeah, we're talking about November now. That's okay. So November would be the 28th.
28th, not the 21st.
Right. That seems to be workable and I don't know why I can't get it to come up. There it is. And so, and Emily Aspinall and I will do committee two.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn. Gosh, it's only been an hour and 25 minutes. Well, actually an hour and 20 minutes considering the delay to get started.
Very lean.
Wow. We should have more meetings like this. All right,
So the motion to adjourn?
I made it. I didn't get a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. John, you can't, are you allowed to vote or you want on that?
No, I can just agree.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Bye.
All right. I feel like a